destroy and rebuild. Let's get into the real facts and chills. Go ahead and tell them where we at. Destroy and rebuild. From your average show, we break down multiple ways to grow. Destroy and rebuild. Now let the ancestors speak. This African state of mind is not complete. Destroy and rebuild. No longer taking secondary. It's freedom by all means necessary. Destroy and rebuild. 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 We broadcast live and direct. Chills put the groundwork in full effect. Die circumstances demand your respect. It's time to advance, something more than a check. I got my eyes open wide enough to see the threat. Liberation is promised, the fight I won't forget. So grab your pen and pad, be sure to take notes at this moment in time. This information is coming that'll free your mind.
Tonight we have back with us in the virtual studio Jegna, teacher, scholar, researcher, also great curriculum writer and historian Dr. Kaba, Hiawatha, Kamene, also known as Dr. Booker T. Coleman. Welcome, Baba and Hotep.
Hotep, brother, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm glad to I'm glad to have you in here in Philly in a few days, actually.
I'm looking forward to that, my brother.
All right, we can jump right in. For those that may not be familiar with your work, tell them a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
I'm from New York, and I have worked in the New York City Board of Education, Bronx, New York. For 31 years. And I in July '09, I graduated. Some people call it retirement. I call it graduation. And I have been doing consultant work. My area of focus for our community and for the work that we're doing is in curriculum development and staff development and community development. Because that's really the area that I think that we need support in. Because many of us know that we don't like the system that our young people, and even we as a community, have gone through in terms of knowing who we are. But the structure of education and the study of how the brain functions and works is something that we need to learn. So that's really what I focus on. I visit communities, work with homeschoolers, work with people who are trying to develop a curriculum. And I lay out what's called a holistic approach towards teaching.
Definitely. And you have been a tremendous resource for our brothers and sisters in many ways, and your curriculums have been utilized by many. What has been your philosophical or African deep thinking premise when it comes to education?
To understand what the purpose of education is. Mm-hmm. The most valuable thing that we have, we being the human family, the most valuable thing we have is time. It's not the money, it's not how many houses you have, it's not, if you should take a person, man or woman, who is about to join the ancestors and you told them that you could give them any one thing, they probably would not want more money, they would not want more shoes or houses, they'd probably ask for just a little bit more time. When you think that we invest 7 hours, give or take, 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, going into a building, you would hope that you are utilizing your time to the best benefit of you as a person. This system isn't doing it. This system is a money-making venture where people are making money. For the most part, they're not interested in educating. They're not interested in doing anything in a positive level. And I'm not speaking for everybody, because some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life have been teachers. And so I'm not speaking in absolutes like I'm saying it to everybody. And even with the attacks on teachers, because I am protective of teachers at the same time, because I know that there are teachers that would like to do the right thing if they could. And I know I'm hearing a lot of people talk about we want good teachers. But going to school and majoring in a particular subject for give or take 2 years in college doesn't make you a good teacher. A good teacher is developed over time. The same way you might have a surgeon. A surgeon becomes good over a period of time of practice, diligence, and even sitting at the feet of a great surgeon himself or herself. And I think that's how a good teacher comes into existence. So I believe in staff development. I'm a very serious advocate for staff development being built into the school day for the teachers. In fact, I've often said that when you study the Kamene model, when you study the African model of education, the school was the place where adults went to learn and children happened to go to benefit from what the adults were learning. So it wasn't even like adults were there just pontificating and giving out all these pearls of wisdom. The adults were there to learn also. And I just think in terms of my own development in how excited I am when I'm on a particular subject where I'm learning things, I mean, I find it very exciting. And I think that's the way teachers should be. They should be excited about learning new things, about getting better at what they do. If I were to go to a doctor with a particular dis-ease, and the doctor told me that they had not gone to a workshop on that particular dis-ease for 20 years, I wouldn't want to go to them. It's obvious you don't know the more current things that's going to heal me. And I think that's true for teachers, too. There's always room for growth. In fact, the more I learn how much more I have to learn. And I think that should be the fundamental kernel. That should be the building block of all teachers to get better. Dr. Clark used to always tell me to perfect your craft. Perfect it. Get better at it. Study it. And I am busier now that I am, well, some people call it retired. I'll call it that so people will understand what I'm saying. Because retirement to me means rest in peace. It means when they throw that dirt on you after they put you 6 feet under to avoid the jackals. That's rest in peace.
Oh, wow.
I utilized my educational experiences almost like another school. Studying, not just educare, not just bringing out in our students, but studying their results of what I was doing in that classroom so that I could now come before the community, of which I will do this Saturday, and speak to the community about what I've observed about education. I want to be positive. I want a proactive approach towards this.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And what can the audience expect to receive on this Saturday?
I'm looking to develop definitions as it relates to culture, curriculum, and consciousness. I'm hoping that those that attend this Saturday will walk away with an African deep thought, of what the purpose of being in that room for 7 hours a day, what our children should be experiencing, to understand how the brain functions in the learning teaching process, so that the community understands what this is all about, what is the purpose. And if you look at the work of George G.M. James, George G.M. James says that the purpose of education, and the reason why they called it the liberal arts, was to liberate your soul, your ba, from your jet or your body upon joining the ancestors. In other words, he said it was all about soul salvation.
Wow.
And that's the purpose of school, not to get a good job. To understand that when I talk to children, I tell them, or students in general, I tell them to follow their passion, find out your genius. You've been given a genius by a creator that is within you. And this creator, this genius within, wants to be developed. What is your genius?
Yes, sir.
It's not about sitting down taking a standardized test. That's not genius. You might be able to do well on it, but that's not your genius. Your genius is that unique gift that was given to you. You need to develop. But our children are so busy trying to pass tests and sit in classrooms and not talk and all the other things that are demanded of them, that they never get a chance to search for their genius. So I'm hoping that the community and the parents that are observing their children will be able to understand how to put this together. So if you're homeschooling your children, or even if your children are in the public school system, that there should be a fundamental understanding of what you want your child to be developing from within. And if your teacher isn't doing it, because all of my children went to the public school system, but I explained to them that I wasn't sending them to school to learn. I was sending them to school to socialize and to learn how to get along with people. I told them, I'm your teacher. And so under those conditions, my children knew before they even went to school, before they were 5 years old, that I was their teacher. Their mother was their teacher. And that when you hear some children who are given assignments by their parents, the children say, well, this ain't school. That was the very opposite with my children, because when my children came home to me, that's when we started school. That little thing you were doing in that classroom, okay, I mean, I want you to pass and I want you to play the game, but you need to understand certain things about who you are and what you are.
Yes, sir.
Parents in the community need to know the difference between self-esteem and cultural identity. In a classroom of 30 students, you can have 2 students that are geniuses, that they have a sense of self-esteem. Those 2 students don't even need a teacher. They're going to become successful no matter if they're around somebody or not. They have it internal. That's self-esteem. The other 28 may not have that gift or have not developed that gift. That and those students are the ones that need cultural identity. They need to know who they are. Every child with self-esteem, innate self-esteem, could be geniuses but know nothing about their culture. But every student that is culturally identified with who they are not only have cultural identity, but they also have self-esteem. And this is where we get the concept of people saying, well, I did it, so can they. Or I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, so can they. That's not true. That's not true. By matter of degree, we are all on this journey of life. And it is our obligation to support and to assist those who may not be where we are. But once there, they might exceed you or me once they figure it out. But they just need to be brought there by a force. And I can't even tell you how many examples that I could quote to you of my own experience over the years of educating children, not just in my 31 years, but in my years before being a formal teacher, and even the past 3 going on 4 years of my experiences visiting schools around the country.
Yes, and with DeFi, I guess, what is the objective? What should the objective of education be?
To educate, to bring out, to understand that children are born with every piece of information that has ever existed, that is existing at that moment, and will ever exist. And to understand the way a teacher, an adult, conducts him or herself in that classroom should not be like you think that you're giving them something that they don't already have.
You're just helping them to remember.
Exactly. You're bringing it out in them. It's like if we were to turn out all the lights and could see nothing in front of us. And then you found the light switch and turned the light switch on and you saw the